My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Remember, the entity is flying over Woodside Senior Apartments yesterday afternoon, which is evidence of what the entity was doing in 2018, as I documented, deviating far from the airport, by the way, where there is any sort of tenable testimony that the airport maintains flights that hover over anywhere near G Street, Vine Avenue, where you would still be at that elevation, where 8XQF 851 is not, engaged in what is stalking in concert with the government, maintaining that ongoing evidence of surveillance, stalking, doing so under the fake sun. This is Vine Avenue, where I'm inside of Woodside Senior Apartments yesterday after 5 p.m. where minors are stalking in the path with the government. Speaking of public corruption, and the entities maintaining the helicopter activity over Woodside Senior Apartments after 5 p.m. This fake sun is moving in alignment to me. This entire neighborhood was monitoring and stalking on video as I captured it while this fake sun is still present after 5 p.m. They are all engaged in what is keeping my genitalia under surveillance, violating my privacy, engaging in federal stalking on the internet, on my device, and furtherance of murder. And the entity is doing so pursuant to, remember what this entity also engaged in at 717 North Vine Avenue on this street. My evidence is showing stalking by the airport, by the same entity stalking the military and the police by helicopter, and then claim that my vehicle was abandoned, and that's why under the California Vehicle Code, they had Bill and Wags, a third-party gang stalker, tow my vehicle. After the people of the state are the ones that defaced it, they're going to prison for this. This is the relevant evidence while the entity is stalking, as I am in this same neighborhood, and they're going to prison for it. This is the P.O.C. This is Vine Avenue. This is the fake sign. Vine Avenue and Granada as I'm walking north of Vine Avenue, which is the same path with regard to Euclid Avenue, which runs in the same direction as I'm walking toward Upland, California. So I just want to be clear, while the entity is engaged in psychopath. This is Southwest Airlines. Flights from Southwest Airlines from Terminal 4. Not in Upland, California, not in Montclair would they be stalking me, flying over my head at what is Vine Avenue in Granada. Moreover, the sun, the natural environment is not going to still be over this same neighborhood, over this same venue, being over me at Woodside Senior Apartments like I captured yesterday afternoon. It is a pattern of conduct, and this is the entity that's going to be prosecuted while minors are stalking. These are little kids stalking. This is the P.O.C. License plate 7XYV825. P.O.C. Alrighty, the current time is 7:19 a.m. And this is documentation of what is the corporate entity. That is Walmart, okay? 1333 North Mountain Avenue and stalking with the people of the state. 9YSK959 is Walmart. Providing a forum, a crime scene where systematic monitoring is underway, not only outside on the property, the facilitating venue, the crime scene of Walmart, but on the inside, which is terrorism, while a supermarket is gang stalking you with the people, its customers. 9RJJ616, who are stalking and molesting with impossible light. SCATURN, who are stalking and molesting with impossible light, stalking under a fake sun, stalking as an entity in furtherance of psychological torture, and in furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder en route to the crime scene that is Walmart. The state of California is a crime scene. This is prosecuting the people of the state, who include the corporate entity, the legal fiction itself. I am here in May of 2020 and 2026. This is it. This is the prosecution of Walmart that extends well beyond Ontario, California, and existing, well before 2026. But in 2026 in May, I'm here during the 10 a.m. hour. Okay, I am here right now at 7:19 a.m. That's the pattern of conduct. The natural environment never includes the sun being over Walmart, because you know that it's rising and setting, for example. Let's just pick one. Oh, how about Ovid Family Community Library in the same city where that would never happen? But let's also include it in Upland, California, where pacing with their communication devices in their hands, stalking you as the demon possessed, keeping their backs to you while the government keeps you under surveillance through them. They're engaged in psychopathic pacing in doing so. They are the mentally ill population that criminally defame you by virtue of stalking you as a population. That's supposed to engineer the appearance of that which gang stalkers who enter into the medical field and apply their knowledge in order to engage in psychologically dark practices such as gang stalking. License 9DCP946. Understand, gang stalking is the product of those that are in the medical field. All right, they utilize their so-called expertise to engage in psychological torture tactics, which they anticipate can resemble mental illness, actual mental illness, and it is not mental illness, by the way. This is on behalf of the ordinary target individual. This is the basis to repeal legislation that's facilitating public corruption, where the entity is engaged in what is the practice of medicine when you're not aware that they're engaged in targeting, like the state of California and those in the legal profession, the court system, and those that are so-called medical professionals. This is irrelevant to what the entity engaged in. The entity literally made up information about me, did so pursuant to this corrupt system. The proof that the entity is engaged in targeting is serving to prosecute that entire system, including that which is not the practice of medicine. And what you need to understand is rooted in the practice of medicine for the purpose of torturing and murdering people and defaming their character in doing so, okay? The entity has been advised that when you engaging in the psychopathic practices of gang stalking, those in the medical profession can mimic that which is supposed to appear as mental illness. The entity that is gang stalking under a fake sun is mentally ill. I want you to see the logo. There is no natural environment that would include the sun being here over me at 10 o'clock. And also while I'm capturing the video at 7:19 a.m. And what am I actually getting to as well, picking 7:19 a.m.? If you know anything about the P.O.C, if you know anything about me as a federal prosecutor, you kidnap me, you engage in acting like you have any authority as a police officer, you're going to prison. I'm going to oversee that there is evidence to create what is a precedent and make sure that you are an example while you are absolutely going to prison. And Anthony Rodriguez and Hadel Shiapani represent this while they engage in criminal summoning at Stater Brothers, which is not this. At the same time, at 646 West Holt Boulevard, and I'm at 1333 North Mountain Avenue, and I'm documenting the entity keeping a fake sun moving far from that venue, not even in that direction, and not simultaneously over that Stater Brothers, where I am subject to criminal summoning. And this entity, those actors engaged in kidnapping, not just Ontario police officers are going to prison, but the people of the state like Edgar, who are engaged in criminal summoning pursuant to harassing me merely because you are being prosecuted for this system. Remember, the entity is stalking with impossible light on the inside of Walmart, just like I'm showing you what's happening inside of apartment buildings, where you also don't have any privacy. And the entity that is caught engaging in this tends to engage in criminal summoning, where the police don't have any authority. They are stalkers. KCM 1268, Texas, 9YJL 630, and it is Walmart that is stalking. All right, my evidence has the fake sun over me right here at this entrance in the middle of the afternoon. It's already on the record where you are stalking, and there is no iteration. We're driving out here is going to create light activity inside. They're gang stalking with the company that's going to be prosecuted, 9YJL 630, 8FQF 555, and the company's going to be prosecuted for psychological torture. All right, the medical professionals that are gang stalking with the government, engaging in this inhumane experimentation and furtherance of murder and kidnapping people that do not have any privacy, they're doing so in furtherance of what, they're doing so with the intent to defame your character, while they know very well the ones whom they are targeting do not suffer any mental illness. The entity seeks to mimic that, seeks to provoke that, to create it while they are engaging in this psychopathic behavior. This is literally the basis to have committed those that are gang stalking in whatever field they're in. It is currently 7:24 a.m. This is Walmart that is gang stalking with the people of the state. This is impossible light. Not only is this not the sun, it's at Stater Brothers. This is speaking to the entire environment that is serving for the criminal pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. All right, this is a note regarding the threat that is posed by an entity engaging in surveillance and conspiring murder, doing so as school districts, doing so as companies, corporations. Chaffee Joint Union High School, a demon is operating a school bus and is stalking me with impossible light. They are doing so while I'm at 5th and Mountain Avenue. Again, a totally quote-unquote new location, right? Fake sun over me, pursuant to the pattern of conduct. The people of the state stalking me as I'm going from one place to another. This is literally an entity that is stalking. They are stalking under the fake sun. They are monitoring. They are monitoring in furtherance of murder. This is all state action. And the entity is engaged in what is Chaffee Joint Union High School begins targeting me. I want to be clear because this is relevant to the entity that's going to be targeted with federal law, okay? Terrorists that need to be specifically identified. So Chaffee Joint Union High School at 5th and Mountain, as I am capturing, you'll see the license plate. I'm documenting it in the morning. It's before I captured the video at 7:19 a.m. speaking to federal prison for the Ontario police that are kidnapping me, again, pursuant to what is a fictitious exercise of authority while gang stalking me. Chaffee Joint Union High School that is being documented is, and remember, I'm not just documenting that school bus. I am documenting that entire school district, which is the entity. That's what's represented while any school district is on the side of a vehicle, which is a school bus that's engaging in gang stalking. And it needs to be known, the world needs to know, that not only are demons driving school buses, those school buses that are occupied by children who are gang stalking as well, who are also demons, who are also engaging in this criminal system, and who are also engaging in what is attacking me, which is what Chaffee Joint Union High School committed, stalking me with light. Light reached from the opposite side where Chaffee Joint Union High School, the school bus is located, and attacks me with impossible light. It's psychologically attacking me, and doing so pursuant to what is a hostile terrorist that's being documented, who is also demon possessed. You are aware that the impossible light activity is not a fable. It's not any sort of product of hallucination. And I want you to know, the world needs to know, that terrorists, the mentally ill, the demon possessed, lower creatures, beings, are operating school buses who are stalking people. And I want to be clear, this is also what the military does. Be very much aware. The gang stalking, HIV infected homosexuals crawl into school buses to stalk American citizens. They're not even necessarily employees of the school districts, but the school districts themselves are gang stalking, yes. But I just want to be clear, because that's the case. Both gang stalking actors are using school buses to engage in surveillance. Chaffee Joint Union High School is attacking me with impossible light while I'm documenting a school district threatening my life. And Oak Park does the same thing. While I'm on the same side of the street, impossible light is moving across, stalking, targeting, and this is the entity that engages in that. It's like shooting a gun at you, right? Except the light that is touching your person is not penetrating your body and causing you to bleed. Okay, but it is very much an act of violence. It's also psychologically torturous. Student Transportation of America, 9 George Victor 315 is crossing path while they're monitoring the evidence. But the entities engaging in what is attacking you psychologically and also physically attacking you, a school district is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender nonetheless. This is why that policy exists. They're going to be prosecuted for psychological torture, which is a program that the government, with the information of those in the medical field who are not engaging in healing, they're engaging in what is torturing. They're engaging in that under the guise of practicing medicine. They're doing it in order to inflict harm, not to do no harm. Understand that. That's the oath that they take. This is what the creatures, the demon-possessed, are engaging in. Understand, gang stalking is the product of those that are in the medical field. They do it with the information of those that study the mind. They commit these criminal and egregious acts that are psychologically torturous, that focus on torturing and harming and terrorizing the mindset. They do that with the specific knowledge, information of those that are in the medical field. And that's how the Baker Act is understanding the weaponization of a government that's engaged in surveillance. Do not forget that. They are not engaged in the practice of medicine legitimately. You have demons, the terrorists, predators, the wicked that intend to do harm go into the medical field in order to engage in this very system. And then you have legislation that backs it up in order for a government that is making up information about being mentally ill, making up information about you being a criminal and it's a product of your mental illness, making up information that they have any authority under the law, while they have a whole comprehensive system designed to target American citizens and target them psychologically. That is with the information of the medical field. This is what you need to understand, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in that. And OPARC, I want to document, you're engaging in terrorism, and there will be details about what everyone knows is not any sort of fable or imagination. These gang stalkers are targeting me with impossible light, and it's not something that that company, the corporation, nor the people, the state, the government are getting away with. That you will be federally prosecuted, and you are talking about what is, you will not exist as a company. You will be wiped off the face. Nobody will ever hear OPARC ever again. Okay, the entities engaging in this conduct, and they're doing it to me, and there's a reason why I am both the federal prosecutor and the targeted individual. OPARC is engaged in what is, and remember, OPARC, these are companies that are in the medical field. They claim to be interested in aiding in and protecting and serving as a benefit to empower and assist and aid and take care of the developmentally challenged. Those that cannot take care of themselves, can't speak for themselves, if they're targeting me, someone very capable, understand the threat that they are to those that are, yes, they're demons, but they're demons that can't speak to sex offenders that are working for OPARC, who are sexually violating them, who are stealing from them, who are lying and stating that their clients are entrusting them their money, etc. These are the threats that when you have terrorists that work for corrupt corporations like OPARC, who are targeting, terrorizing, psychologically torturing me, while they are stalking me with impossible light, because they are stalking me as an entity, and OPARC is targeting me at Mountain and 5th Street. That's what's behind impossible light activity. OPARC is engaged in federal stalking. OPARC, under the law, doesn't even have a constitutional right to exist as a corporation. All right, you have a right to form a corporation, form a business, as a constitutional right. It's a freedom of speech. This is not what that is while they're gang stalking. So you're talking about literally the government under the law having full authority to remove these corporations from existence. And it is companies like OPARC. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:59 a.m. It's 9:05 a.m. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me at 10 o'clock at Walmart. This is where we're at, where Ontario police are stalking with impossible light. They're going to prison. 1489987. That's Los Angeles County Sheriff, so that you know that. This is the P.O.C. That's the entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. with regard to targeting. This is how you know L.A. County is going out of its way to target a specific person. This is why in L.A. County Sheriff is using its helicopters throughout Los Angeles County stalking me. Okay? There is not more than one sun where the entity is at the same time of year, like I documented in 2025, like I documented in 2024, where it's remaining over Alvarado Gardens, and this is not that. While I'm at 1810 North Alvarado Street, and the Los Angeles County Sheriff is stalking by definition through what is also the recognition of scientific evidence, where LA County Sheriff goes out of its way to come and target me. And they're doing so because they know that they've already been convicted. And what do the psychopaths do pursuant to this study that I have provided you regarding the entity that is mentally ill? They commit more acts of terrorism pursuant to knowledge, as they are in fact monitoring, and knowledge that they are caught. Number one, they're humiliated demons. And number two, that they are going to serve consequences for that which they have engaged in what is, but for now, evading, avoiding, all right, controlling, and they don't control anything. Los Angeles County Sheriff is going to be federally prosecuted. Robert Luna, Dominic Choi, Michael Moore, and the current terrorist leader over LAPD, they are all being prosecuted, and you are not retiring out of any prosecution. Michael Moore's criminal acts of terrorism are still on the record, and it is something that you will serve the penalty for. While LA County Sheriff, by the way, is gang stalking me, Robert Luna has been engaged in targeting for years, and that has been the case, by the way, while I remain in San Bernardino County, showing you the entire state of California's P.O.C. All right, LA County Sheriff, in other words, comes out of its way to gang stalk me. That's the entity, that's the department, that's the state that is under the fake sun at 5th Street and Mountain. When I am at what is Walmart, the same Walmart, it's right here at the corner. I'm at the same location of the Walmart, while this entity has the fake sun that remains over me. Remember, while LA County Sheriff is stalking in the environment where impossible light is present. Remember that. And this is the entity going out of its way to communicate a threat. And what's going to happen, LA County Sheriff, is you are being federally prosecuted. And this is, I want to be clear, the basis for being disbanded. If you think that you are too large for that, then you do not understand the laws that are going to prosecute you as a terrorist. This is the P.O.C. That's the entity that's engaging what is levying war, engaging communicating a threat, as they are engaging in the pattern of conduct, going even out of the jurisdiction to stalk. Okay, which is what LA County Sheriff is doing the entire time I remain in LA County. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:08 a.m. at 5th Street and Mountain. All right, there's a body of evidence of the entity targeting, by the way, outside of even the pattern of conduct I'm referring to May of 2026. This is P.O.C. All right, this is the entity that's gang stalking with the co-conspirator Omnitrans. The people of the state, not a coincidence. It is the P.O.C. and it's also Omnitrans' P.O.C. as they are gang stalking on the bus, and this fake sun will be in motion in the window of this facilitating venue, Route 84, which is currently gang stalking on the roads and the highways with the people of the state in furtherance of murder, which is a threat to national security, by the way, while those that are targeting American citizens are operating public transportation with the military that's engaging in a program of psychological torture, and those psychopaths and sex offenders are operating vehicles where they do not have car accidents in this environment, and they are actively targeting, as I've shown, Omnitrans. Omnitrans and this driver, that's subject to federal prison. I'm about to get the license plate, I'm getting the vehicle number, and it's Route 84 that is driving what is southbound on Mountain Avenue at 5th under the fake sun at what is 9:28 a.m. They're going to prison. So I'm going to document this right now. The entity is engaged in this. I'm documenting the same absence of a coincidence, the same pattern aboard Omnitrans that has been gang stalking. License 165654. This is the P.O.C. Bus 1364, and the fake sun's going to become dynamic. Remember when LA County Sheriff is crossing path? It's sitting still.
Okay, you're fair. No courtesy rights.
I'm paying for me and her.
This is P.O.C.
Okay, that's for her. Let's see.
everybody on this bus under the law is gang stalking and is targeting the entity that's using helicopters pursuant to the pattern of conduct.
More than 23,000 Californians are waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. They are your friends, family, and co-workers. Register to be informed.
He's monitoring while he's being courteous. He's monitoring.
Learn more at CEASELESS.org.
This is operating employee number 2566. African American male, it's 9:30 a.m. This is P.O.C. I want to get the face on that moves through the window of the bus. He is indeed targeting with the entity using helicopters. That's mandating prison.
Stop requested.
This is the supernatural. This is the P.O.C. No matter what route, no matter what time of day, the same pattern of conduct and the pattern of stalking me by helicopters. P.O.C. Thank you. Excuse me. The fake son moving with the bus through the window. This bus driver, this bus line, this people of the state, gang stalking. The fake son stationary. The fake son moves as I move at G Street and Mountain Avenue now. License 1656564, bus 1364. Under the fake sun at 9:33 a.m. and that employee number is going to prison. This is P.O.C. And this is the pattern of conduct by the public entity, which is Omnitrans. Okay, that's the government that's operating a transit line, maintaining surveillance. Again, Alan D. WAPNER. These demons, they're being federally prosecuted while I am exposing them, prosecuting the rest of the population that's gang stalking me with these corrupt government actors, with the military. P.O.C. This is the entity that exposes the people of the state, and that's all that you can do when you are being documented as a stalker. The government's never been documented before, and the government that is repeatedly having psychotic breaks as a matter of documented evidence regarding what is the criminal pattern of conduct. Remember what Tracy Banks, 8U52710 is doing, what Tracy Banks is doing at Woodside Senior Apartments under the fake sun, which, by the way, I'm on G Street. Woodside Senior Apartments is on Vine Avenue and G Street. This is the same street. In other words, this is the same location. The sun is not going to be on the same street in the evening. But this is what I'm documenting at Euclid Avenue, where the entity that is gang stalking and furtherance to murder, a fully exposed criminal conspiracy. T21LOV is gang stalking with the entity, and so is 829 West G Street, the people of the state, where the entity is maintaining this ongoing criminal pattern of conduct, exposing the entire population that is subject to federal prison. And a population is going to fill up prisons, fill up mental facilities regarding what is a mentally ill entity that engages in what is criminally targeting and defaming, doing so through the mentally ill that are in the medical field that inform this criminal activity with the intent to psychologically torture and traumatize, okay? Which is not the legitimate practice of medicine. Is literally using your knowledge for evil, for in furtherance of what is the government's objective. The government's objective has not only failed, the government has exposed what will be the aim of federal law, which is to put as many terrorists away, which is absolutely feasible. The entity that's engaged in the pattern of conduct will result in what is a population, the gang stalkers themselves being put in mental institutions that are in, by the way, what are the positions that include the military and the mentally ill behavior. Military that is targeting with gang stalking law enforcement, like you see Los Angeles County Sheriff coming into San Bernardino County gang stalking me at Mountain and Fifth, doing so while they are targeting with public transportation. I just want to be clear, this is speaking to terrorists that are in all areas of society, that are speaking to what is an ambush that they engage in the states with regard to terrorism, okay? This is the entity that is engaging at 811 West G Street, license plate 9R Apple 77, gang stalking with the military, okay? This is the engaged in what is mentally ill behavior, not just criminal. Psychopathic pacing is occurring under a fake sun that's still here after 5 p.m. where those demons are stalking by helicopter in the same environment with a population that are not strangers. All right. The mentally ill are going to be subject to prison. They're going to be subject to being put in facilities where they belong. And this is speaking to the employee operating the Omnitrans vehicle. He represents an entity and represents a group that is documented already engaging in years of terrorism, and they're all going to prison. They are all going to federal prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:46 a.m. where the entity is stalking while I am on G Street, subject to surveillance. And the entity is engaged in surveillance on the roads and the highways. The entity is engaged in surveillance where they are residing in relevant position, where the government is engaging in surveillance in the state of California, which is criminal activity that the governor is engaging in and is facilitating and is profiting from. And so are the companies, the corporations. That is every single last company that is formed and is engaging in, with knowledge and maliciously so, designed to profit from it. The criminal pattern of conduct. This is G Street and Granite, and this is the fake sun. This is the P.O.C. Not only is there criminal activity, the pattern, mentally ill, the entity is also, this is also relevant regarding diagnosing them. They're mentally ill while they do it in front of the world. They're caught and they keep engaging in it on camera. They're mentally ill. P.O.C. All right, the video evidence captured of the entity stalking me by helicopter is in conformity to the pattern of conduct, including what it is that I've documented before. For example, the entity gang stalking me while third parties are in my presence. This is the entity that's gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments with the government by helicopter. This is the same third party, Frank Nieto. This is a pattern of conduct. I have Eddie, for example, that's engaging in the same criminal pattern of conduct. These are the gang stalkers that call themselves befriending me while they are conspiring my murder, and while they friendly, in some friendly manner, that doesn't exist. While I document them gang stalking me in a friendly manner, I document that, and they're going to prison all the same. This is what the entity is doing, and this is relevant to the video evidence, and this is relevant to, and this is what is informing the video evidence that I organize in a playlist, speaking to what the entire population is engaging in, regardless of whether they speak to me or not. They are going to prison. While I have your name and you're literally just engaged as foolish as the homosexual that is stalking in the helicopter. And what the entity is doing by helicopter is what the airline industry is doing with commercial planes, with the same criminal objective, same engagement in that criminal conduct, and it's the same incriminating conduct that the people of the state shall be prosecuted for. This is the P.O.C. It is 9:51 a.m. Nine WWT 333, 7ACA 994. Children in the back 9WCL 956. This is psychopathic pacing that is shared, committed together as an entity of stalkers who are monitoring 8TKW 451. They're doing so under the fake sun. This is the tangible evidence proving that. And it's also the tangible evidence establishing coordinated criminal activity stalking and corporate actors like FedEx, who's engaged in stalking by delivering their business under the fake sun. This is what UPS is doing yesterday on this same street, G Street, where the entity stalked me by helicopter, following me from Walmart, back to the same venue where the fake sun is present at the same location. Remember my video yesterday at the laundromat of right here, Woodside Senior Apartments. This is where I'm at 5 p.m., where the entity is engaged in what is having a psychotic break, as I documented them, the mentally ill stalk in a helicopter. And don't forget what this entity, the mentally ill, stated, that they were just running into me at the laundromat, coming out of the mouth of third-party Tracy Banks, who was going to be committed, just like the rest of the gang stalkers, 9ETH374, 7KGE491, doing so, stalking as a corporate actor, 7-Eleven, which has a pattern of conduct of targeting. FedEx has a documented pattern of targeting. Remember what the entity is doing yesterday. Southwest Airlines is gang stalking, flying over this sky space. Delta Airlines is gang stalking, flying over this sky space, where I'm documenting the fake sun that is still here over me, where this entity is stalking by helicopter after 5 p.m. It is currently 9:59 a.m. And you know that the fake sun is over me, while the demon-possessed that give birth to demons are at the Upland Public Library entrance under that fake sun that remains over the Upland Public Library, as I capture on video inside of that video during business hours up until 7 p.m. where I exit in Upland, California, and it remains there. And there's this entity that's engaging in this conduct in this environment. That is, in other words, science, which is prosecuting and exposing, serving to diagnose the mentally ill. It is the P.O.C. It is 10 a.m. on the dot. This is the entity that's monitoring my vagina, and they're going to be prosecuted for that. This is P.O.C.